Aja Wilson just got hit with a reality check she never saw coming, and trust me, karma keeps score. After spending the past year taking shots at Caitlin Clark, downplaying her impact, and acting like she deserved all the attention Clark was getting, Wilson is now sitting at home watching Caitlin secure the Team USA opportunity every player dreams about. No leaks, no rumors. This is real. The WNBA's biggest critic of Clark just got served a slice of cold truth. Before we go any further, drop your thoughts below. Did Team USA just make the boldest move women's basketball has ever seen? Or did they cross a line? Because what I'm about to reveal flips this entire rivalry on its head. Here's the part nobody's saying out loud. When USA Basketball released invitations for their elite Duke training camp, they weren't simply choosing players, they were declaring who the future belongs to, and the message was unmistakable. We're building what comes next, and negativity isn't part of the plan. Caitlin Clark, invited. Paige Buckers, invited. Aaliyah Boston, Clark's frontcourt partner with the Fever, invited. Angel Reese, despite all the off-court drama, also invited. Juju Watkins, the college phenom lighting up the NCAA, she's in too. But Aja Wilson, the multi-time MVP champion and leader of Team USA for years, nothing, not a word. Let that marinate. The longtime face of the league just got sidelined by her own national team. And if you think this was some oversight, you haven't been watching what's really been happening. Team USA didn't just give Caitlin Clark an invitation, they handed her the blueprint of the entire next era. This isn't a trial run, this is a handoff. Sue Bird comes out of retirement to help groom the next wave. The playbook shifts to faster tempo, more threes, more spacing, and you don't need to guess who that style is designed to empower. Spoiler, it's not Aja Wilson. Team USA's new identity is clear. Run the floor, stretch the defense, and let your most electrifying playmaker orchestrate everything. And the only person who's been mastering that style nonstop for the past 2 seasons is Clark. Behind the scenes, coaches aren't wondering whether Caitlin can take the reins. They're discussing minute distributions and which star lineups elevate her game the most. Meanwhile, Wilson is finding out the hard way that you can't spend a season tearing down the player who's single-handedly carrying your sport's momentum and still expect the benefits to roll your way. But let's back up, because this didn't just happen overnight. Aja Wilson didn't suddenly wake up and realize she'd been pushed outside the circle. This outcome was built slowly and deliberately through months of jealousy dressed up as competition, and now the consequences are catching up. Remember the whole "I have a shoe too" situation? Yeah, nobody forgot and everyone cringed a little. While Caitlin Clark was packing arenas, breaking every attendance projection the league had, and pulling in millions in fresh revenue, Aja Wilson was on Instagram practically begging people to notice she had a sneaker deal too. It didn't read like confidence. It read like insecurity dialing 911, and fans felt it instantly. Every time Clark hit a new milestone, Wilson just had to jump in. Clark sets the rookie assist record, Wilson questions the level of competition. Clark wins Rookie of the Year by a landslide. Wilson hints that the voters must have used the wrong criteria. Clark's jersey becomes the best-selling WNBA item of all time. Wilson complains about marketing favoritism. It wasn't subtle, it wasn't smart, and honestly, it was exhausting. Then came the wildest claim of all. Aja said she makes the same speaking fees as Caitlin Clark. Read that again. While Fortune 500 companies were practically fighting over who got Clark on their stage, Wilson was insisting she was booked at identical rates. Meanwhile, corporations were announcing Clark partnerships like they'd landed a major global superstar. So where were Wilson's victory laps? Where were the press releases? Where were the headlines? Exactly, nowhere. The delusion was almost impressive. Almost. Then she launched the "what is delayed is not denied" posting spree, and that might be the most blatant attempt in sports history to ride someone else's wave. Every time Clark made massive news, Wilson posted vague messages about her time coming. Every time Clark inked a new deal, Wilson tweeted something about patience and destiny. The timing was so calculated, it was borderline embarrassing. Here's the truth Wilson refused to grasp. Caitlin Clark wasn't just trending, she was redefining the sport. She brought in fans who had never watched women's basketball. She made cities that couldn't fill a WNBA section suddenly sell out entire arenas. Ratings surged, merchandise exploded, corporations lined up, the league began transforming financially literally right in front of our eyes. And Aja Wilson's response? Complain, discredit, undermine. She was actively pushing against the very player carrying the league into a new era. Let that sink in. The supposed veteran leader of the WNBA was working against the sport's biggest growth engine. But the lowest point, the moment she crossed a line she couldn't walk back, was when she implied Clark's Time Magazine Athlete of the Year honor was influenced more by race than achievement. That was the shift from petty to harmful. The backlash was immediate. Fans who once had Wilson's back walked away. Brands began putting distance between her and their campaigns. And USA Basketball, they watched everything. Every passive-aggressive comment, every jealous jab, every cryptic post dripping with envy. Piece by piece, Aja Wilson went from respected face of the league to a warning sign, from role model to risk. And now look where things stand. Caitlin Clark is gearing up for the Duke training camp with the next generation of Team USA stars. Meanwhile, Wilson is at home scrolling Instagram, probably drafting another "My Time Is Coming" post. But we're not done yet, because nothing highlighted the divide between these two more than their shoe deals. When Nike dropped an 8-year, $28 million contract on Caitlin Clark's doorstep, it wasn't just money, it was the clearest statement yet. Clark isn't just the moment, she's the future of women's basketball marketing. A rookie barely into her second season just landed the kind of deal that veterans spend entire careers chasing. Caitlin Clark got it, an 8-year, multi-million-dollar Nike contract that instantly changed the entire landscape. And Aja Wilson's reaction? That told you everything you needed to know. No shout out, no celebration for the sport, just instant, thinly veiled envy about her own shoe launch. Clark's signature sneaker vanished in minutes. Stores sold out. Resellers doubled the price. Social media went into a frenzy. It was a cultural moment. Wilson's Nike shoe? You could practically hear the tumbleweeds rolling through those empty online carts. Her release didn't make a ripple in sneaker culture. The silence was painful. And here's the harsh reality. Aja had every advantage. Years in the league, MVPs, championships, a well-established name. But when it came to actual market value, she wasn't even in the same zip code as Clark. Corporate America made its choice, loudly. Behind closed doors, Nike re-engineered their entire women's basketball strategy around Caitlin Clark. They realized they had something rare, a player who wasn't just a star, but a cultural force. Clark brought in fans who didn't watch basketball. She turned regular games into events. She made the WNBA must-see entertainment. Wilson tried to keep up, more behind the scenes content, more sponsorship posts, more brand pushes, but the harder she pushed, the more obvious the difference became. It was like watching someone shine a flashlight next to the sun. Forbes began covering Clark's financial impact. Business schools started using her as a case study. Analysts tracked how her presence influenced WNBA revenue streams. Retail stores moved her merch to premium displays. Overseas markets wanted her products on shelves. Wilson's media coverage, local sports channels, basketball-specific magazines. A fraction of Clark's reach. Brands that once courted Wilson suddenly rerouted their budgets toward Clark. Interviews shifted. Appearances got rearranged around Clark's schedule. The entire business economy of women's basketball began orbiting one player, and it wasn't Aja Wilson. And here's the part that makes everything even clearer. USA Basketball follows the money. They're not building a social club, they're building a global product. They want players who draw sponsors, boost viewership, and elevate the sport internationally. When they evaluated their options, the answer was obvious. Caitlin Clark delivers numbers no one has ever seen before. Sold out arenas, record ratings, global buzz, massive partnerships, and does it all while boosting teammates and staying professional. Aja Wilson offers championships and accolades, but also jealousy, drama, public negativity toward the league's biggest star, and a shrinking influence. Let's be honest, who would you build around? USA Basketball made its decision, and Aja Wilson is finding out that bitterness comes with a price. You can't spend months firing shots at the player carrying your league and then expect decision makers to pretend they didn't notice. The 2026 World Cup, that's Caitlin Clark's stage. The 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles, that's shaping up to be her homecoming coronation. Team USA is planning the next era around Clark, and there's no space for players who resent the sport's growth. Wilson had a choice. She could have embraced Clark's rise, championed the surge in popularity, and positioned herself as the veteran guiding the future. Instead, she chose pettiness, jealousy, and self-inflicted damage. Now she's watching from home while Clark prepares alongside teammates who actually understand what progress looks like. Aaliyah Boston understands it, and that's why she's there, while Wilson isn't. Paige Bucher Vickers understands the assignment. Even Angel Reese, despite all the drama between her and Clark, managed to keep things professional enough to earn her spot. But Wnba Wilson, she let envy take the wheel, and it cost her far more than a Team USA invite. It cost her reputation, her long-term relevance, and honestly, she brought it on herself. What makes this whole situation even wilder is that Wilson truly believed she could compete with Clark's cultural power. She thought her titles, her MVP trophies, her resume alone could outweigh the tidal wave of influence Clark brought to the sport. She thought fans cared more about her accomplishments than Clark's movement. She miscalculated, badly, and now everybody sees it. So here's the real question. Did Wnba Wilson deserve to get left off Team USA after months of taking shots at Caitlin Clark? Or was USA basketball overreacting to a little competitive bitterness? Drop your take in the comments, because this conversation is nowhere near done, and if you think this is some petty back and forth between two players, you've missed the entire point. This is about the direction of women's basketball. It's about whether the sport steps into the future or clings to the shrinking comfort of the old guard. It's about whether jealousy gets rewarded or held accountable. USA basketball just delivered its answer. Caitlin Clark is the future. Wnba Wilson is the past. And honestly, that's exactly how evolution works. This Duke training camp isn't just a talent evaluation, it's the foundation of the next decade of international dominance. Every drill is designed around pace, spacing, ball movement, and transition offense. The exact style Clark has been sharpening for 2 full seasons, while Wilson was busy dropping cryptic Instagram messages about timing and patience. By the time the 2028 Olympics hit Los Angeles, Clark won't still be adjusting, she'll be orchestrating. She'll step into those games with years of international reps, hundreds of practices under her belt, and complete mastery of Team USA's offensive identity. Wnba Wilson, she'll be watching from her couch, probably tweeting another delayed but not denied quote. Except this wasn't delayed, it was canceled. There's a difference. And insiders are already saying what fans are starting to realize. Clark is skipping the traditional waiting period. Most newcomers start on the bench. Not this time. Clark's skill set, leadership, and massive market reach make her too important to waste. She's going to get real minutes immediately. Sue Bird didn't return to preserve old traditions. She came back to help transition Team USA into its next era, and that era needs Caitlin Clark directing the offense, dictating tempo, and elevating everyone around her. Wilson's absence sends a message to players across the league. Go after the sport's biggest star at your own risk. Jealousy has a price, toxicity gets punished, and USA basketball will always choose progress over nostalgia. This isn't about one cut from one camp. This is about consequences. This is about accountability. This is about the simple truth that you cannot build a career by tearing down someone else's success. Wnba Wilson spent months trying to minimize Clark's impact, and all she managed to do was shrink her own. She ended up looking small, bitter, and insecure, and now she's living with the fallout. The irony? Wilson wanted Clark's spotlight so badly that she accidentally crushed her own. She wanted Clark's endorsements, Clark's attention, Clark's momentum. Instead, she got sidelined while Clark rises to levels Wilson never dreamed of. And the funniest part? Caitlin Clark probably doesn't think about Wnba Wilson at all. She's too focused on perfecting her game, preparing for Team USA, and writing the next chapter of her career. Wilson's jealousy only exists in Wilson's mind, not Clark's. That's the difference between winners and worriers. So what happens next for Wnba Wilson? Does she learn from this? Does she reflect on how her bitterness sabotaged her shot at Team USA? Does she come back next season with maturity and professionalism? Or does she double down? More cryptic posts, more self-pity, more finger-pointing, based on history. I'm not holding my breath. But maybe, just maybe, watching Clark thrive without her will finally teach her the lesson she's been avoiding. You can't hate your way to the top. When the 2026 World Cup roster drops, we all know who's making the list. Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Paige Buchers, players who embrace change and uplifted the sport. And we know who isn't making it. The player who spent 2 years trying to tear down the biggest star women's basketball has ever seen. Justice doesn't always show up instantly, but it always shows up. Wnba Wilson is learning that the hard way, and honestly, it was overdue. So let me ask you again. Was Team USA right to cut Wnba Wilson after her non-stop attacks on Caitlin Clark? Drop your honest thoughts. Subscribe for more real WNBA breakdowns. Hit that notification bell so you never miss the truth behind the drama. Because trust me, this story isn't done, and the next chapter, it's going to be even louder.